Chilanga Converses.
Another episode of Chilanga Converses, and today we are doing our freestyle segment. This is where you, our lucky listeners, get to reach out to us and suggest topics on what you want to hear about. And we do have quite a number of interesting ones to talk about. Well, I'm Mr. Pars, or you can call me Sunday.
I'm Mulundu, or you can call me Mulu, whichever tickles your fancy. So today is going to be really awesome. So many different topics to talk about.
Where do you think we should start from today?
Okay, so we're going to be stargazing, looking up into the stars, and we're going to talk about asteroids.
Okay, asteroids. What about these asteroids, man?
Okay, so first things first. There's an asteroid in space which is worth about $10,000 quadrillion.
What? Isn't usually when someone says quadrillion or gazillion, isn't that like a made up number, you know?
These are official stats.
Quadrillion.
Quadrillion,
so
yeah.
That's after trillion, I'm guessing.
And 10,000 of those quadrillions.
Okay, that looks like it could end world hunger or something.
Hopefully, if we could harness the technology needed to get to it and extract whatever we can from it.
So are there plans to go get it, basically?
Well, the earliest planned mission is going over there in like 2025, 2026. So there's a lot of time in between to prepare for the mission and make sure everything checks out.
Well, did you already say where it is currently?
It's close enough for it to be observed because it's been observed by the Hubble telescope.
So, okay, I'm guessing they'd like send a bunch of, robot things to go and like hook into it and pull it back, because you can't really have live people up there.
Yeah, so it's going to be something for the engineers to figure out.
Whoa,
how they're gonna do it.
More jobs for the engineers.
Who says it's pointless looking up to space?
Yeah, I mean, wow. So how did they determine its value exactly?
Well, the thing is, light interacts differently with different sedimentary or different rock patterns.
Okay.
Yeah, so the way that the light would penetrate the rock, you'd find that it's characteristic of the way light behaves on Earth. I think predominantly what should be on there is lots of iron.
Iron.
Yeah.
Okay, iron is extremely valuable, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, did like a probe take these pictures, or they just took the pictures from down here on Earth?
Well, you have different observatories around the world. Yeah.
Fortunately, none in Zambia.
None in Zambia yet.
Shout out. Ideas for you thinkers. Build one. Okay.
Yeah, whose telescopes are pointed to the sky. So actually, the thing about it is, it's postulated that it was a protoplanet. So a protoplanet is what you have before a planet physically forms completely. So before that formation process was completed, then something struck it and it hurled off into space.
Okay, so it had like a molten core at the time, or that didn't fully develop.
That didn't fully develop.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's because the core isn't encapsulated, then it cannot sustain the heat and the energy because it would dissipate continuously.
All right. Who's heading this project, if anything? Is it the Americans or who discovered it?
NASA.
NASA, the Americans.
NASA discovered this. Yes, it was published in Science Direct, the Science Direct magazine.
Okay, so that would mean the Americans basically have, dibs. But not necessarily, I guess. Not. It depends on who manages to go get it, right?
Well, the thing about space is that everything that's in space is the common heritage of all mankind. So no one country can claim and say that we're going to own this because we detected it first. Even after America put the flag on the moon, doesn't mean that they own the moon or they can build a military base with a death ray to shoot out.
The flag isn't it equal to basically some graffiti that says we were here? It can't mean we own it.
Definitely.
Well, maybe they were that audacious. You never know, the Americans with their ambition.
On the dark side of the moon. There also is another asteroid in 2068 that could hit the Earth.
Say what?
Yes.
Like, basically wipe out the Earth.
Yup.
So wipe out, not just like hit and damage it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that sounds alarming. What year did you say?
2068.
2068.
Yeah, going by its current trajectory and the way it has been propelled through space. Well, the thing is, it could miss, but then if you factor in the fact that it's burning up and there are all these particles that are behind it, so it could change course at any minute.
So it must be incredibly large as well.
It is, yes.
You've seen those movies when like something is about to hit the planet. Mm-hmm. They send like a bunch of, missiles to up there to like break it up.
Might have to send Bruce Willis up there.
I don't know how well that would fare. Us actually having to depend on Bruce Willis. Eesh. Okay, hopefully it won't come to that.
Yeah.
But do you think that is do you think that is a logical thing to do?
Yes. If you look at the options that are there, the one that is the best, without a doubt, is to have it demolished before it actually reaches anywhere near Earth. So send out something into space just to hit it head on and explode it to bits.
If anything, you could arm probes to try and catch it as far out as possible from the Earth.
Yeah.
And have it break out from there. That way you'd only be left with debris.
Yeah.
And the debris has to be really small.
I think you have to give credit to scientists for what they've done, discovering it this early. So they have like 40 years to prepare for impact, and they can do whatever they have to do to make sure that we're safe.
Unless, it actually just pretty much is going, in our direction, but like it's gonna miss. 'Cause how long has the Earth been around for? And nothing's ever hit it before. So there might be a chance that this is just another thing to talk about. Maybe
we build a large bumper cart and send it into space. Just to deflect it, of course.
Even if anything, that would be the safer option, wouldn't it? Like just send something to push it out of the way.
Rather than detonating something in space.
Because even if it breaks it up and there's like a small enough piece which actually does hit us, I mean, that could still be cataclysmic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, could spell for lots of danger and threat to human life.
All right. Our next topic is Imhotep. This one was brought to us by Nada from Croatia. Hopefully we have enough knowledge to suffice her curiosity on the topic.
So Imhotep in ancient Egyptian means the one who comes in peace. And he was a high priest of the sun god Ra at Heliopolis.
I also read that he was a chancellor.
Yes, he was.
So he was doing some moonlighting there.
He was chancellor to the pharaoh, and he's also probably an architect of one of the step pyramids of Egypt.
Very, very little is actually known about Imhotep, but how do you think he became such a famous figure? You know, considering like so many movies have taken up this figure, Imhotep. Like for example, the Mummy. He became that character who was, I don't know,
A knock to the moon.
yeah, all that stuff. He wanted to live forever. What did he want? Did he want to live forever, or did he want to become a god?
Well, I think the movie dramatizes a lot about who his character probably was.
Yeah, I mean, they don't know
Yes.
that much about him either, but they could
They
tell you
don't.
that he fell in love, and then he was caught by the king or something, and then was sentenced to mummification.
And he wants to bring back his lover, and together they will rule the earth, subdue everything.
Such a loving man, but so, hateful at the same time. Can we all just live happily along,
Yeah. I think his cult is what led him to become infamous. He had a cult following in Memphis.
He had a cult following. What do you have to do to get a cult following these days?
Man, he must have been very... Well, for people to look up to him to be a leader, I'm sure there must have been some charisma involved.
Okay.
He probably had that thing that could draw crowds in, and if you're talking about like religious inclinations, perhaps make people feel some sort of deep reverence towards these Egyptian deities.
Okay. I guess the Egyptian sun god Ra, isn't he like one of the most famous ones? Which one is Horus? Horus is like an owl or something.
I think so.
But like...
I know Anubis.
To me, like Anubis, that one I know. He's the jackal.
Yes. Yeah.
Some people think it's a dog, but it's a jackal. Yeah.
Ra is the sun god, and he isn't he their creator, according to Egyptology?
I guess so.
Yeah.
He's also on the dollar bill. Yeah, you get that little pyramid with the Eye of Horus on it. Or is it? It's the Eye of Horus, isn't it?
The all-seeing eye?
The all-seeing eye. As far as I know.
It could be. What do you think about that, Do you believe in the conspiracy theories behind that?
The whole, like, Illuminati thing, and they put it on the dollar.
The Eye of Horus on the dollar, like...
You know, I think there's so many theories behind it that I know I just moved to strike it. You know, like forget about it. It's money. Just to spend the money. Do you think there's anything behind it?
Who knows? I remember reading about how the on the dollar bill, like how it was all brought together.
Okay.
Yeah, and different symbols were considered over time, and most of them were rejected. But they went with the dollar. They went with the all seeing eye on the dollar bill. So.
Maybe. I mean, okay, metaphorically, it's. I guess it's a good symbol for them in the sense that, you know, if the eye is all seeing and you have that on the dollar, you know, that means everyone has the chance to have money. You know, like no matter who you are or what background you're from, if you make an effort for a good life, then you will be seen, you will be noticed.
I think if you think about it in terms of symbolism, you see the Eye of Horus. For me, it's evocative of enlightenment.
Okay. Yeah, because it's shining, isn't it?
It is. It's shining. You know, so that it talks about knowledge. It talks about knowledge basically. And if anything, who could be said to be more knowledgeable or more enlightened than the United States?
And if anything, he who holds the dollar is enlightened. You know, you got the money. You must be an enlightened chap. And imagine if you have the most amount of dollars that there are, you are the most enlightened person around. That's not to mean we're all about money, obviously. We're about other values as well. I love being another one of them. Okay, hopefully I doubt we've satisfied Nada's hope to hear about Imhotep. But we gave it a shot. We gave it a shot.
Maybe we could cover a few more bases where Imhotep is concerned.
Okay.
Yes, maybe we look at his depiction in popular culture.
Okay, we've already mentioned the Mummy movies.
Yes.
Yeah.
And The Mummy is actually a remake. There was a movie in 1932 called The Mummy.
Okay.
And The Mummy as we know it today with, what's his name?
Brendan Fraser.
Brendan Fraser. Yes, that is a remake.
So, I wonder if it did well in the box office, the first one. Or they're just like looking to rebrand.
Must have been. I mean, movies like King Solomon's Mines, for instance. Yeah, that one was a smash at the box office. So lots of people are interested in stuff like archaeology and stuff like that. And also, Imhotep is a board game about building pyramids.
Okay, that sounds fun.
Yeah.
I wonder how that works. I built the pyramid first. And when you win, you say, Imhotep! I don't know. I apologize for those of you who are actually well informed on this subject matter.
Yes.
Board game.
Yes. So, over 6 rounds, people move wooden stones by boat to create 5 seminal monuments. So I was thinking it's maybe like Monopoly, but for Egyptian times.
Where you ride on a boat. I guess that's a thing.
Yes.
Let me check this out. Okay. Our next topic. is the Apple chip.
Hmm.
Okay, tell us all about the Apple chip. I want to know about this.
Okay, so the Apple Mac 1 chip is a new super processor that has been rolled out by Apple that you find in all of their 2020 models, the Mac Mini, the MacBook Air, and this is particularly special because it uses 5 nanometer processing. So, the technicalities about how it works exactly are a bit too much for me, but I understood that you have more processing power for longer battery life. For instance, on the MacBook Air, you can have up to 17 hours of battery life.
And you know, we all need that battery life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know there's quite a number of us out here who are just constantly charging because of the low processing power.
Yes.
Even the battery gets worn out from all the charging.
Mm-hmm. So, performance-wise, this chip goes above and beyond what you have on the market. It's the next big thing. On the Apple website, they say that the Mac 1 chip is not a new invention or new development. It's actually a breakthrough in terms of processing power and what that means for the future.
Does Apple just have better scientists than everybody? Or I mean, they did create the whole the iPod, you know, and like they find ways to always create an invention that will cater to your convenience much better.
They always strive to be ahead of the curve, beat out the competition in terms of new trends, what can be developed, gadgets, how they can be improved. All in all, you have to give it. I think you could boil it down to Steve Jobs' innovation and what he wanted to do for the company. Just his acumen and his savviness for business and identifying new things that would be huge on the market.
I imagine that the phones that roll out with this new Apple chip, they'll also have 5G.
Yes,
And
most likely.
That's like super fast internet, super fast phone. What else do you need, really? Maybe an earphone jack. But
yes, maybe that.
But obviously, you could buy that separately from the Apple store for everyone who wants a phone with an earphone jack.
Yeah, so if you're using it for video editing, you get up to 7 times better performance. For whatever it could be, this is like, it's top notch, like top of the range performance.
Everything should be seamless.
It should be.
But do you think that'll mean their products getting even more expensive? Because Apple products, have been known to be quite pricey, especially in Africa. So, do we need more expensive things, or would they recognize that from their users and try to cater to us, meet us halfway?
Okay. Well, I think you have to look at it in terms of also what the consumer might need. Yeah. So for somebody who is shooting movies and stuff like that, they need to be able to use it for that, or it could be even like photos that you're processing, because they have to render and things like that. So if you want to cut down on the time that you spend working on your project and have it done as quickly as you could, it's up to the consumer. So if the consumer feels that they need that type of performance, then they should go out and buy. But on the other hand, Apple have to keep in mind that their prices need to be at a certain point, like in a certain sweet spot, so that they remain competitive but still enable them to retain a profit.
Because that that always leaves the door open for Samsung, doesn't it? To just create something which is pretty much like it, but like something we'd all be able to afford. Apple products, they now have Bluetooth, right?
Well,
Like that's what I heard, that they've started rolling out things with Bluetooth.
If they have done that, then good on them. You know.
But isn't it also sort of like an admittance, like, okay, the other way was kind of wrong. We were excluding everybody, because file sharing is very important.
It is.
You know, like, especially we're at an event, we're at a wedding, we're at a conference or something. We're taking videos, we're taking photos, and like someone wants the same footage that we've captured. We need to share that. Share it. The app Share It themselves. They're like an independent body. Like they're not owned by any phone company.
That's just an app that runs on major platforms like Android OS, for instance.
Okay.
But that's the one thing, along with a couple of others, that I really don't like about Apple products. But anyway, that's just personal opinion.
I'm sure there are those who do like it. All right, moving on. Next topic. We're delving into the world of music. Simba.
Yes. SYMBA. So this is a Bay Area born, Los Angeles based rapper who has gotten attention. Everybody's buzzing about this guy, and he's got shout outs from 2 Chainz, he's got shout outs from Snoop Dogg, and even LeBron tweeted and said this guy's next up.
Even LeBron?
Even LeBron.
Might be using him for motivation to win those games. Didn't LeBron just win the whole the series?
Yes. LA is the city of champions.
So he
basketball and baseball champions.
So he might have been on that Simba. You never know, people. Like, get motivated, get inspired. You might achieve something great.
You know, Simba said when Snoop posted him on his Instagram page, he's like, "This man has changed my life." You know. Yeah, it's like, thank you.
Snoop Dogg said that?
No.
Oh, my bad.
Simba said
that.
Snoop has changed his life when he was posted on Snoop Dogg's Instagram page.
I was gonna go out and get a Simba album right there.
If Snoop had said,
because
Snoop's too cool to say something like that, man.
Exactly. Like, Snoop is grown. How has this young boy changed your life? Okay, so the genre he falls into is hip hop.
Is hip hop? Yes.
Is it trap? Is he lyrical? Is he conscious? Like,
he's a fire spitter. That's what he is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe he might do some collaborations with Eminem.
Hopefully. Like, if those two link up, that's gonna be fire. Yeah. So his mixtape. No. Let me say this right. His debut album is called "Don't Run Away from Rap." Now, rap is an acronym.
Ooh.
Yes. It stands for responsibilities and priorities.
Okay. Just got real there.
Yeah.
It's a different message than what you usually get from rappers. You know, they usually want you to turn up, get lit. You know, you only live once.
Yeah.
Responsibilities and priorities.
He was talking about being able to express yourself fully as a person, you know, so not running away from rap music, but fully embracing it, you know. So he's like, he wants to let the people know, everybody out there, that, you know, you could be who you are, just be yourself, and you don't have to run away from rap music. He said he did that once before. He ran away from rap, and now he's back, and he never wants to leave it again.
Okay, how old is he? I imagine he's quite young.
He's young. What is he? 26?
26, okay. He's quite young.
Mm-hmm.
Not for the kids listening. 26 is ancient, but
yeah.
Responsibility. Okay, so it's out now currently. His album.
His album is going to drop soon, not out yet.
Okay, I guess on our next freestyle segment, we shall give you an update on when his album is out.
Yeah, don't hold me to that age though. I'm sort of not sure how old he is, but he's a young dude. You could tell he's a young dude.
All right, that's great. Talking about messages from rappers. We'll move on to our next topic, coming from Wongani, who comes from Lusaka. He'd like to hear about how drugs impact society in this day and age. It's a big impact, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Especially nowadays, as you can see that certain countries and certain states in the United States are legalizing things like marijuana. Actually, didn't we just? I wouldn't say it's legal here per se, but you need to have a license, don't you? And my understanding is that license is like $1 million kwacha.
It's $250,000.
$250,000. But I imagine that's just to like grow it and to like sell wholesale, but not to use it. So does that mean we are selling it to you for its other qualities, which are things like hair products, maybe lotion, as opposed to consuming?
Well, I think the reason why the legislation was changed was a response to South Africa's legalizing of marijuana. So if you have commercial farmers here in Zambia who want to tap in on that market, they could easily do that because they just pay for the license, and then they'll grow it, and then they can sell it in South Africa where it's legal. So there's so much money that could be made from it. And personally, if you would ask me, maybe considerations should be made into just basically like legalizing in this country, because there's billions that could be made from it.
Definitely, but it's usually, let's say, the Green Party, who was advocating for the legalization of marijuana. Their whole platform was, we're gonna start growing it, and we're gonna start selling it, and it could bring in, from what if I remember the figures, it was something like $3 billion per year.
That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money when you think about it. But us as a Christian nation are opposed to it because it comes with negative connotations, doesn't it?
It does, because if you look at the type of people who use the drug, a lot of them aren't really the best role models in society.
Most of them have ripped jeans, I can tell you.
Among other things. So, I mean, would you say that it's not classy for you to be affluent and you like to have a few hits of marijuana here and there.
Okay, the way I think about it, it looks, the aesthetics of the use of it, when talking about consumption, it looks tacky, doesn't it? Like you're ripping some newspaper. That's how it's always been like done. Like around here, someone rips newspaper, you put it there, and then you start rolling it and licking it and setting it ablaze. Like, it just doesn't look sanitary. Then you huddle around in a group and you keep passing it around, and everybody. I guess some conservative people also believe that it promotes laziness. You know, because they say the effects are, you smoke some, you want to sleep. I don't know about that. But there's just a lot of bad images connected to it. So how do you break such, stigma?
I guess you have to point to people in society who've managed to become successful, or at least have managed to function, and they have a notorious, and they're known for using the drug. For instance, famed musician, former president of the Zambia Association of Musicians, Michael Zulu.
Oh, he's known for it?
Yes, he is.
Okay.
Yes, I saw this one picture of him on social media. He was somewhere foreign, must have been Europe or something like that, and he was lighting something up
Okay.
in a street somewhere. Yeah, so him, he's held his family together. You don't hear too many scandals, and his daughter is 4 years in university, and so he's done his part in raising a family.
If anything, I guess it would take such responsible characters like that to come up and to advocate and to fight for the right, just so that a lot of people see that they've succeeded despite it. It hasn't hindered them anyway in life. That way, maybe it's, a lot of the stereotypes could get broken down.
He himself said, "It's a good plant that has a bad name."
Yeah. Okay. I can see that. From what I do know about it, loads of people, I hear it's really good for hair growth. And it might be, if you think about it, it might be a better option for hair stimulation as opposed to all these chemicals, because you have seen damage to hair through those chemicals. So if there's a safer way to treat your hair, I'm down for that.
How about we extend the talk to other drugs as well?
Other drugs? I do hear that crack. Crack. Just saying it's funny to me. Crack is quite prevalent in our society. Like, why? Okay, would you advocate for crack being legalized in our society?
Never. Not even if I was paid $1 million.
I don't see anybody coming out to say that it's a nice drug with a bad reputation. But I guess we'd have to look at it from the crack user's point of view.
That's not a point of view that you want to be looking through.
Give me crack.
Nah. A crackhead. That's why they call them base heads, you know? Yeah, because it's like you're doing something that's baseless, you know what I mean? It's not to be encouraged at all. Get help.
Okay. No offense to the crack users. I mean, as you can tell, there's a clear bias here. I mean, the marijuana, at least you could sort of advocate for that. But crack, I just don't see it. Okay, here's an interesting one. The legal drugs that we already have.
Alcohol.
Yes.
Okay. Alcohol is actually very good for networking.
Clearly. I mean, it's good for networking. What else is it good for?
It's a social lubricant.
Yeah, hence networking. List them out. Let's see what alcohol can do for society.
Well, in smaller doses, you find alcohol will stimulate you rather than depress you, you know? So there's that. It could be a stimulant. Wine, for instance, helps with your digestive system.
I hear it also helps with your heart.
Yes. So in moderation.
So
In moderation, it's okay, but just don't.
Would you say that it should get there should be a cap on alcohol? Considering there are loads of people who are actually sick. When I say sick, I mean they become alcoholics. They become physically dependent on the use of alcohol just to function.
How would you enforce the cap? You know, you're in a drinking place and you're like 5 bottles minimum. Nah, person would just go to another bar and keep drinking.
You know what? I mean, if anything, you'd have to rework the whole system, wouldn't you? You'd have to basically remove all the alcohol from public places where you can buy them, and you'd have to. I'm thinking that you'd do it at a pharmacy, you know, or you could create like specific bars which are, you know, clinically controlled. Okay, we're just talking right now.
Yes,
because obviously no one is gonna touch your beloved alcohol. Don't worry, everybody.
Maybe you could have them breathe into a breathalyzer before each drink.
That also seems like it's too much work. Because apart from people becoming alcoholics, which are like the severe cases, you could also argue that decision impairment happens when you've had alcohol. Like you might spend what should be your rent money on a good drink because it's the weekend,
and then get behind the wheel and drive drunk home.
Or you might, especially that one, get behind the wheel. I know it's like we've tried to, you know, create systems that support, you know, go around alcohol, basically, saying that, you know, we put up the advertisements don't drink and drive, or call a Lyft, or an Uber, or an Ulendo because it's Zambia. That's not free advertising. Charge.
Or extra miles, Lasaka cabs. Roll around in a Benzo.
Oh yes, you told me about that. You pay 100 kwacha and that Mercedes-Benz, you heard me right. Mercedes-Benz takes you from where you are to where you want to be.
Rolling in style.
And that is a great way to go home, I might. No.
Or to arrange for a pickup.
You know, when you said arrange for a pickup, I thought you meant a Range Rover. For a pickup. Now, wouldn't that be something?
That too.
But anyway.
Sorry, I don't understand.
That's all we've got on alcohol. Are there any other drugs that you think could possibly make it into that we should legalize?
Well, I've always been curious about sativa. I just don't know exactly what our standpoint is with regards to sativa.
Isn't sativa weed as well?
It's like it, but it's not as potent, but it's like it. Yeah, but that's legal in lots of jurisdictions around the world.
Okay. Maybe they feel that it's actually safer than legalizing actual weed.
Mm-hmm. Because I think the major thing is that drug abuse is tied to crime as well.
That's true.
So if you have something that's legal, these people are going to access it more frequently. They're going to want to do things to be able to get it. So who knows?
Okay.
It's something to consider.
Maybe we might touch on drugs again in the future. I'm sure a lot of people are quite curious about this topic. But since we're running out of time, this one is coming from Chanda in Luapula. Anal sex. Yeah, she's curious about the role it plays in a relationship. I guess in a scenario where you and your significant other are together and they want to try the other hole. I'm assuming that the man wants to try the other hole of the woman, not the woman wants to put something in their spouse's hole. What do you think about that? Is it deviant behavior for couples to delve into such a thing like that?
Well, depending on where you're looking at it from, what basis you might use to call it deviant behavior.
I guess most people call it deviant behavior because anal sex gets its rep from, gay people, basically. Since gay people can only use that hole. I think it's also the seed, which inspired enough women to be like, oh, you like it in that hole, you must be gay. I think, it has a rep, a bad rep.
Well, I wouldn't know how many couples are willing to try that out, because in our society we live a very conservative and traditional way of life.
Believe in conservative values, yeah.
Yes, we do. So I mean, if you were to think back to yourself and think, let's say in the 80s, if you were in a relationship and you brought it up, how would it be perceived? Perhaps now it would be perceived differently.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I guess in the 80s, I mean, AIDS was a thing, you know? So you would think your partner is probably sleeping with men and wants to try it out. But there are a number of women who do enjoy it, from what I've heard. So what do we say to those couples who do enjoy it?
Maybe it could be something for couples to explore in terms of bringing a new dimension of sexuality to their relationship. It could bring them closer, or maybe they could try it out and find that they don't like it at all.
Exactly. As with any act, really, I think the most important thing is if you tackle it responsibly. Make sure you use lubricant. For anybody who doesn't know, the anus does not self-lubricate. No, I mean, you have to say these things. I mean, people don't know. And don't use anything that could actually break down the condom, such as Vaseline. Vaseline actually breaks down the condom, and within moderation. I know we all get excited and we're like, yeah, let's do it. But yeah.
Yeah, surprising that the female actually asked us to talk about this, you know?
Yeah.
Ordinarily, you would think maybe it would be the guy who'd want to try it out, but then I guess maybe the tide is turning.
I guess it's because it's a new day and age, really. It's 2020. I mean, most things that we used to have problems with, such as oral sex, that used to, like, nowadays, it's perfectly fine. Actually, most men or most women, like, want you to go down before penetration. So I guess times are changing. Another thing which is on the rise is actually eating out. Eating out people's butts. That one, I don't know how people, but it's actually more common in society than you think.
Not even on my freakiest day.
No. That's for you adventurers. But I guess because the argument for anal play is you have what's called the rim. It has nerve endings, so you can feel pleasure from there. And I guess the scientific argument for anal sex is that you have a pleasure center inside your anus, so that I don't think it's because they want you to have anal sex. I don't think that's why it's there in the first place. But apparently it is there.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, people must enjoy anal sex, right? To constantly be doing it. We're not all gluttonies for pain.
I remember reading something on Facebook that page, the Zambian feminist page. Have you heard of it?
Yeah. I have.
Okay. So she was saying that she was having a conversation with the guy, and the guy was basically homophobic.
Yes.
And so she hits him with, so then why is the pleasure center in a man located where it is? You know, that's what she asked him.
In the anus?
And she asked him, she made sure to add that she asked him with a smile, with a quirky smile.
Okay. I don't know if she was being feminist. Okay, let me try and not be biased here.
Mm-hmm.
My answer to her would be that pleasure center is there. So when you go to the toilet and you do number 2, it's not a painful experience all the time, people. Like, you know, when you go to the bathroom, you do feel relief.
Mm-hmm.
Because imagine if it was painful and you had to do it every day. That would kind of make life a bit unbearable, wouldn't it?
It would, definitely. And
So-
also, you don't have to go through that end for you to stimulate the pleasure center. There's the coffee table.
The coffee table, I've forgotten the scientific term for it. It's basically that part in between. You've heard of Kegels, Kegel exercises. It's that part where your prostate is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you could rub on that.
Rub on that. You don't necessarily have to have something inserted in there. But I don't see why she wanted to make it a big deal about the pleasure center in there.
Mm-hmm.
It's I think she must have been advocating for homosexuality in that respect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go on, you feminists. Anyway, we've talked enough about that. Let's move on to our final one. Now this one comes from Angelique in Lusaka. If it's okay for women to feel that men need to be the provider in the relationship. I feel like this whole topic could get its own segment. But I guess let's break it down. I mean, we're not necessarily talking about is it okay that the man is the provider, but is it okay to feel like the woman? I mean, is it okay to feel like the man should be the provider in the relationship? Your thoughts?
Well, society has changed as we know it from the early days, right? I think from the dawn of time. So back then you had hunter-gatherer societies.
Yeah.
So the man would go out to hunt for the meat, and the women would gather fruits and berries and things like that, and they would
The vegetables.
and they would keep them. So the man was also the protector, and he was also the head of the family. So going from that, going from the way things were before, I think not much has changed in terms of the way that the man is viewed. In this day and age, we don't have to go out and hunt, but we go out and we make money. And you could say that in some respects, now women are empowered as well, but a lot of people will tell you that still there is a lot of inequality, and
which I argue against.
You argue against that.
If anything, I think that the women are doing better
than the men
in this day and age. I would say, when you look at the population, right? You have all the men and all the women. I'd say a small number of men are doing extremely well, right? The majority of them they're basically suffering like God knows what. Like the hustle is real out here. Anyway, and if you look at women, right? I'd say a majority of the women, as opposed to, the ones which aren't, are actually just doing well. Just doing well, as in they make money, they make good money, they have a good life. Sure, it's even less that are doing extraordinarily well, But I would still say that a larger group of women are doing better than the men.
Okay. Well, in terms of workplace antics, you hear that there's equal pay for equal work, right?
Yes.
So the woman would get paid just as much as the man would for something for the same amount of work. But then, if you were to get into a relationship, right?
Yeah.
And let's say you are just a couple of years past 30 and you're working at this place, and your girl is still in school, and in as much as she has her family to support her, there's a couple of extra things that you need, which nobody has, nobody could provide for her.
I can see that the guy would be in that position. Okay. Bottom line, what I feel about this, right, is that if you can, if the guy is working, he has that money, he should provide. If the woman is in a position where she needs that help, he should provide. But if she is managing to find more money than he is, and he's broke as the hell, and she's just sat in her car basically waiting for him to save up whatever pennies he has to take her out, it doesn't make sense. I think some of these things, it's just to use common sense.
I think so too. Of course, you have the ones who would rather the man does everything and she doesn't provide for the house, for anything.
Yeah.
You have those, and she'll be fine just like that.
There's enough women who believe even if she is making money, the guy should still sort out everything.
I think why people have an issue with girls thinking that the man is the provider is because the guys see it as the women using it as a ticket to freeload.
And let's be honest, some of them do.
Yes. Freaking freeloaders.
Okay, like, I kind of feel like for those who just want to freeload, it's like, are you just looking for a second father? Is this what it is? Because your father would provide everything for you, and now you have another male figure, and he should provide everything for you.
Now there's talk of send money for Black Friday.
Sorry, I let my personal side come out a bit.
Is it necessary? You know?
Like,
Really,
send money
for
for
Black Friday.
this, send money money for that.
The needs never end.
Okay, that is true. Needs never end. If the man is taking care of everything financial, what is the woman taking care of? Because if you look at our feminism, female independent, sort of life we're living, right? Women are capable of doing a lot more, right? But what will they be providing to the relationship? Exactly.
Companionship.
Okay, companionship. I'm trying to understand. So basically, the man would be paying to have somebody with him? One day, okay.
There's this South African artist.
Yeah.
She sang these lyrics. She's like, "My loving isn't mahala, sevenza." That's what she said.
But I want to ask you ladies, if you're listening to me right now, is your, like, let's say a dude is taking you to that nice restaurant, pretty much 2 or 3 days. Every 2 or 3 days, he's picking you up with his car. He's helping to pay some of your school fees, or he's giving you some rentals money. Would you say the effort in your loving can really equate? Are you actually putting in that work to make him feel like a king? Yeah, anyway. I sound like a dick talking about it. Basically.
Who knows, man? The love of a woman is a mysterious thing.
Okay, I guess we're at the end of the podcast, but to pretty much round it off, to answer the question, is it okay for a woman to feel that a man should provide for everything in a relationship? Personally, I can say it is okay for her to feel that way. A lot of feelings are okay to feel. It is okay to feel that way, but at the same time, you should be with somebody who can, if you feel that way.
And also, not a lot of reliance should be placed on feelings, because feelings are wishy-washy, they come and they go. So what the woman should do is make sure that she is stable on her own. She has an income of her own. Then she can be empowered and be independent to choose the best suitor for her.
Yeah, because a lot of men are known for, once they finally get put on, once they finally get that money, they leave the woman.
Yeah.
For something they feel is much better. So it is a good thing to protect yourself, just in case.
Lots of wolves out there.
yeah. I feel if you're always relying on somebody else, there'll be enough times, in fact, you'll find that it won't work out.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can find that person, if you feel that way about your relationship, you should find someone who could cater to those needs, because you'll always be feeling lack. Or yeah.
And if you're also heavily dependent on the man, then you won't have that much of an opinion in the relationship, because you be the quiet person who won't speak up that much, because
even if you speak up, okay,
like, how much influence in the relationship would you have?
I think a lot of people can relate to this scenario, right? Say because we've all been children at some time. We're basically dependent, right? We're dependent on our parents because they pay for everything. So we feel inadequate to actually suggest anything. Like, who are we to say anything? They pay for everything. So won't you just feel like you were when you were dependent?
Yes, and if anything, the man might get sick and tired of those demands. He might move on to somewhere where the demands are less. And then what happens?
Oh, that's a good one. That could be like a reason for breakups. Because I have personal experience. I've had chicks who are just like, oh, I need hair, this, that. You haven't even started a conversation yet, and you're just like, I'm in ATM.
Yes.
Do you know the way I suffer?
And Tinder's full of those chicks.
Anyway, guys, you have been great. These freestyle segments are actually brilliant. We'll keep doing them. We'll keep getting topics from you guys listening out there. And yeah, I've been Mr. Pars, aka, or you can call me Sunday,
Mulundu or Mulu.
Thank you for listening, and we will catch you on the next one.
Peace. 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 Peace.
Chilanga Converses.